Welcome to the Cody Journal podcast. This is episode number 2. We're excited to have Rick and Taylor Hensen here today. They are from the CHS Cody Ski team, and they are co-coaches. Tell us a little bit about what that looks like for you guys, both in season and out of season.
Well, in season, it really takes both of us, probably 100%. So we have just a short amount of time to get our training done throughout the day. And because Cody High School offers the most sports that you can offer in the state of Wyoming, there's actually not a whole lot of room. So we split our kids up, and we'll have half of our kids go do, say, a physical workout. Maybe I'll take them to do that, while half of our kids stay with Rick in the classroom.
What kind of stuff happens when you guys are in the classroom versus, out in the field, I guess you would say?
Well, as Taylor mentioned, there's a lot that we try to cover. And because we can't just go out and get on the basketball court or go, do something on hand, we're trying to make it as ski specific as possible. So a lot of that comes with learning through notebooks and through a classroom type session with a bunch of video. We take a look at video of our own kids skiing, and then we compare those with other kids around the state and even World Cup athletes. So there's a lot of, schools, different kinds of approaches to psychology of the sport and different ways to look at classroom type stuff you can do. Plus, it just keeps our numbers down where we each have half the team to work with. So the balance works really well.
In terms of the physical stuff, we really try to focus on the same things maybe professional athletes would focus on in what we call dry land training, so off of the snow. I think one of our biggest weaknesses as a ski team is that we're not able to get on the snow every day. So we try to simulate as best as possible. And that looks like a lot of core work, a lot of balance work, a lot of cross training. But, we like to keep it short, focused, and then switch them over. So we basically run the same practice twice within our time frame right after school. Once we move into the season, we start to try to bring things a little bit closer together. Once we have done a lot of that foundational work, we start looking at team building, togetherness, being on the same page. We will try to see that the kids have fun in training, right? Because it's a long season. So we'll play soccer, we'll go for a run down the river, all of us together. And so it's an important piece that we are all together. So we try to balance that with the split.
That's really cool. Well, it seems like you guys have a kind of what you talked about, a balanced approach to this. What do you see as being some of the strengths that you guys have of being in this area? So from what I understand, you guys are training up at Red Lodge Mountain, and you guys collaborate with the Silver Run Club. What does that look like as far as, so you're doing dry land, and then what does it look like? Do you guys do that on the weekends, on Fridays? When do you guys start into hitting the snow?
That's a tricky part of our program. And we have competition that skis every day. Wow. And I won't mention the Jackson guys, but, right. They just have that in their backyard. What a great deal for them.
Yeah.
Where we, we're 4 days a week or so doing our dry land training that we were talking about. So then if we can on a Friday afternoon, depending on our schedule and situation, we'll get to Red Lodge Mountain. And then Saturday is our big day. And that's where we'll train. And again, working with the other ski teams to make sure we have access and space on the mountain. We'll try to make it as what I guess, you try to do as best you can with the time you have and try to make it a pretty deep practice. So,
That's great.
Yeah, there are other variables at play too.
Sure.
So Red Lodge Mountain, as generous as they are with our training space, we have to share it.
Right.
So it's not only with the Silver Run club team that's up at the mountain. It might also be with club teams from surrounding areas. For example, Bozeman brings their club team when they don't have any snow.
Oh, wow.
And we're up there. A couple other teams are up there. Rocky Mountain.
Yep.
The collegiate team in Bozeman, they're sharing the same space. And so that is a balancing act in itself. Sometimes we have half of a run for all of us. So we just have to balance that time and make sure, above all else, that everybody's being safe.
Right.
And we just want to make sure that we fit into that picture. And so far, it's been great. It's been fantastic. I mean, Saturdays are our must ski days. We're not, through the school district, we're not able to practice on Sundays, nor are we able to practice on holidays. We do practice over Christmas vacation, so that's going to be a big part of our practice days. And then on Friday afternoon, Rick's retired, so he has all the time in the world. He'll take the kids up. Some of us have to work, so I'll kind of stay back, meet up with them on Saturday. And, we kind of call those an optional practice because I don't want to take kids out of school, right? Sure. We're student athletes. Students always first.
Right.
So fortunately, we have a lot of responsible students on our team, so they are ready. They're caught up with their work. They're caught up with their grades, and so they're ready to roll on Friday.
Well, something that people are always curious about is a little bit of background of coaches, because I know that there's like a long coaching history in a lot of different variations of that. So really quick, I would love to ask each of you this question. You can have a little time to think, but what is your favorite aspect of coaching these young athletes? And do you have any particularly memorable years or memorable events that you feel like kind of keep this passion going for coaching and teaching these kids?
I'll start because I'm the old guy in the room. Right?
It's going to take a while.
Yeah, this will take a while. So after about 35 years of coaching skiing, I've seen a lot, and there've been so many great rewards, and there's something that keeps me coming back. I don't know. It's not really him, but I enjoy the kids. I enjoy working with them and watching them grow and improving their skills. And it's a great lifetime sport, right? So I think some of the highlights are sort of, now that I'm the old guy in the room, I get that next generation thing. So, former athletes then have kids, and those kids come through the program. We're almost to the point where grandkids are coming through the program, and it's just this connected part of Wyoming that I just love it. Yes. One of my former racers is now the head coach in Jackson.
Oh, wow.
And so it just goes on. And those are really great rewards. And a lot of times people I didn't even know, were on the ski team, and I'll hear a name and it's like, oh, you're so-and-so's grandson? Oh, that is so cool.
That's so neat.
That's some of the best stuff for me.
That's really cool. I think it really speaks to even like Wyoming is, I hear a lot of people say it's a big small town.
It's true.
And it's true that when we have things like this that are live sports, it's super important that there are people that are continuing to steward it in our communities. And I know a lot of people, when I was telling them about this interview, they're like, oh, that's going to be so great, because they want to hear. A lot of times we're not in the gymnasium, or we're not out on the football field. And so it's encouraging to hear those stories because they matter.
Okay. The other really rewarding part, I guess, here is a few years ago, I knew that I wasn't going to be continuing as a head coach. And so there's that point, tipping point, I guess, of what is this going to look like down the road? And I was hanging out with this guy. We were both coaching track at that point. And we were in the high jump pit one day, just kind of reminiscing a little bit. And I said, we're really going to need a good assistant here with the ski team. And he said, what's the ski team? I mean, at that point, he was kind of new to the district and didn't know. So we started this conversation, and here we are. I don't know if it's been 10 years ago or something like that. But a long time, and now he's head coach, and I'm, just playing the role of assistant, and the whole form fit piece of the puzzle has just been great, because that's something I worried about, not right. For sure, didn't really know what the future of the program was going to look like. So it's been great that way.
That's incredible. You don't see mentorship a lot like that in transition roles. So this could even be a new kind of a new way to do things. What's been your perspective on this, Taylor, being on the receiving end of the 10 years and then moving into that head, I don't know if that's the right way to say that, but
I took a beating for 10 years.
But being in this, I guess, this collaborative coaching partnership, but then transitioning to head coach.
Yeah. Well, and that's exactly what it feels like. It's just a collaboration. So when we talk about stuff, it's what do we want to do? What do we want this to look like? Rarely does the whole who's the head coach, who's the assistant coach get brought up, other than when it's like, I don't know. I think I've heard you say, I don't know, that's a head coach question. And which is fine. That's more of the logistical stuff,
Right.
getting the bus rides taken care of,
Right.
figuring out how we're going to feed all the kids. And that's stuff, just having worked in a school now, I've been a school counselor for 14 years. That part's easy. Being around kids, that part's really easy. I've been coaching for probably 16 years and 10 just with a ski team, so it feels like a really good fit right now. Initially, just growing up, having skied a lot, and from being from Montana, there are no high school ski teams. So moving down here, being very much a team sports, I want to be a high school coach, and then all of a sudden the ski team is a high school team. Are you kidding me?
Wow.
That's great. And so when we were coaching track together, it was just a good fit, and clearly we get along okay. So,
Great.
going forward, I hope that we can kind of just keep this collaboration going for as long as this guy wants to.
See how long I hold up.
So when you're talking about the coaching aspect, about how many athletes are coming through the program, would you say year to year?
Yeah. So we're getting more and more each year. I think last year, including 8th graders, we had 35 athletes. So the 8th graders kind of come with an asterisk because they're not able to compete, but we
Sure.
do invite them to join our team for the purpose of everything else, mostly on snow practices, get them a little bit of exposure to what ski racing looks like before they enter their freshman year. And a lot of them have a step up. So there's 7 or 8 of them last year. So somewhere around 30.
That's really cool.
And that's been a really good part of Taylor's role at the middle school, where he gets to know those kids that normally we wouldn't. We would only see them as freshmen, come to
Right.
high school, and they might be looking for a different sport or something to do other than basketball, whatever. But this way, there's a really nice kind of organic growth that comes from his involvement there. So it's worked out well. Our numbers have increased since he's been in part of it.
Well, with Cody High School offering so much, we're really, really lucky in terms of being a small community, and the kids are, we have a great high school, but I want to hook them early, you know what I mean?
Right.
But, so if we have that discussion and we get them, kind of get the nerves to subside a little bit when they hear ski racing, they get a little freaked out.
Mm-hmm.
But when they see what it's like, there's that much more of a chance that they're going to be with us the following year.
That's great. Yeah, and I think I think most viewers in Cody might know the difference, but could you explain the difference between downhill alpine ski racing, which is the direction you guys are, versus Nordic?
Sure. That's another part of the beauty of Cody High School is, as Taylor mentioned, we have so many different things to offer. We actually have quite a few kids on the alpine team that started on the Nordic program.
Okay.
And it's just because we have so much to offer. It's just great. The Nordic program is there. I guess you can kind of equate them with distance runners in track and field, where they're out. And I admire those guys so much. They work so hard. Oh my gosh. And they have no ski lifts, right? I mean, we're kind of the pampered bunch, We buy our season passes to Red Lodge, and we're on the chairlift to get us up the mountain. So they have a whole different workout, whole different work ethic, but it's a great program. Whereas we are a little more of the gravity slaves, and we kind of like going fast, and so it's two completely different sports, and yet I think we probably are lucky to say that most of our kids probably can do both and have done both.
Yeah, alpine. While we invite the kids in 8th grade to participate with us, we actually at the middle school have a competitive Nordic team starting in 6th grade. So the kids get their experience there a little bit earlier. So we really try to make sure that they're well-rounded skiers, even though it's not for everybody.
All right. Well, we're gonna switch gears a little bit. I would love to talk about you getting ready for the season and when season starts, and what athletes and parents can expect moving forward. So, what is day one of practice for CHS ski team, and we'll go from there.
Well, to throw everybody a curveball with the school district, since we have a week-long vacation for Thanksgiving break, our traditional start to being on snow is actually before our first dry land day. So that requires a little bit of extra work on our part and a lot of communication to the kids, making sure everybody's ready for skiing on day one. We don't have the luxury of being in the class and having a good discussion. So we are actually going to ski on November 29th. That's the first Saturday after opening day for Red Lodge Mountain. And then the following Monday, which would be December 1st, that's when we will settle into our classroom, our dry land conditioning after school.
Awesome. So let's say there's a kid that's a freshman, maybe they've just moved here, they're just kind of learning about the ski program. What's a great way for them to go about getting connected with CHS ski team and going towards that activity?
Yeah, I would say number one, we have a very detailed website now through park6.org. If you go to the activities link and then go to the Alpine Ski Team, any of the information you might want is on that page. You can follow up with speaking to anybody in the athletics department. We're going to go ahead and have a parent meeting the day after we start dry land, so on Tuesday the 2nd, and that'll be in the war room, which is the old weight room attached to the high school there. So really our goal this year is to over communicate things and make sure that everybody's on the same page going forward, because it is a big first step for someone who's never done that. And I've had a few of those be referred to me from current athletes, which I love, right? Because that's a great review, right? If one of your current athletes is telling somebody, hey, you ought to get a hold of Coach Hensen, Coach Stonehouse. But if there's somebody out there that doesn't have access to us, that's a great place to start, is that website, or shooting us an email, and our contact information again is on that website.
That's great. So that's a good segue into our next topic, which is we have the annual ski swap coming up. And it sounds like you guys are going to hold that on November 15th. And you guys have times here listed for gear drop off, and we'll kind of list that at the end of the podcast. But tell us a little bit about what Ski Swap is and how people participate in it and get involved.
Well, we started doing it a long, long time ago. I can't even give you a year, but it's been a while. And the idea is, because our community, I don't know, you look at, we have a lot of families that want to be a part of the program, but they're not necessarily ski families. So they might not want to go out and spend a lot of money on brand new equipment for 2 or 3 or however many kids they might have. So the ski swap was generated to kind of give people a chance to get a hold of used equipment for a reasonable rate. And, a lot of communities do this. I mean, Red Lodge has one, and of course Bozeman has one, and they're all over Colorado. And so we just really started the idea of it being a community event as much as the actual ski swap. I mean, you may or may not find what you're looking for at our ski swap, but it's a weekend where everybody gets together. The ski community, sees everybody else that skis, and there's Nordic folks there, and you'll have Alpine folks there, and everybody's there. And so it's just really kind of a cool community event. We call it a fundraiser because we'd like to think we're going to make a bunch of money out of it. That isn't always the case, but it's okay. I mean, there were a few years where we kind of scratched our heads and said, do we even really need to do this? But the reality is people want it, and they look forward to the chance to get together and maybe find some skis or a pair of boots. And we kind of like it as a sport swap too. So Gradient Sports, Andy Quick will bring some boats in once in a while, and people can just bring sporting goods. So it's not just specifically skis or ski equipment. Yeah. So awesome. It's a great community deal, and I think we'll keep it going for a while anyway.
Yeah.
I'm glad to hear that, because it's like in my mind, I can never not remember there being a ski swap. And so, so I'm like, I'm really glad to hear that, because it is kind of a coming together of like, yes, the season's almost here.
Yeah, for sure. I think the year after COVID, we took it off, and that was a lot of our feedback on the season was, hopefully you guys are going to have the swap again, right? Half the people in line are just there to drink coffee and say hi to everybody else. And so, like Rick was saying, like totally a community thing. It's really about spreading the stoke. That's so good. It's just the stoke on the season. In fact, the whole weekend, that's kind of our goal.
Kind of leading into the next part of this, which is this Warren Miller film that's going to be taking place the same day as the ski swap on November 15th, called Snow Society. Is this a new thing because the movie is out, or is it, how did this all come about? Was this through which sources?
Go ahead.
Well, I've only been here for, like I said, about 10 years. There are years that this is sort of a moving target. Can we find a place to show the movie? Can we get the contract with Warren Miller? Can we get the contract with another production company? And Warren Miller, at this point, I think they're in 75 years or something like that, right?
At least.
So at this point, they're so dialed that it's very easy to reach out to them. We had our last Warren Miller film here actually featured the Beartooth Basin up in the Beartooths, and some other places that our local crowd could really get excited about. And so the Warren Miller, it's just like part of this rich ski history. And you can go to places like Bozeman or other big ski towns, and this is what they're doing, and we want to bring that here. And so we're going to do it at the Cody Theater downtown. Really more of a grassroots feel, and it's a fundraiser too, but again, it's more or less to get people together and get stoked on the season.
This is excellent. Yeah, I've already heard lots of kind of town talk about it, and I meant to bring, I have a Warren Miller cap that a friend gave me from years ago. Nice. And I was like, come on, let's do this.
And it's a big coordinated effort, and that's one thing that I think one time I remember we tried to show it at Cody High School in the auditorium or something, and it was just kind of hit and miss. It was hard to put together. But now, because of Sunlight Sports, and those guys have been very instrumental in helping put this whole thing together, and the Cody Theater, and again, as a part of that, continuing the weekend and the Stoke, as Taylor says, it's a lot of coordination, and Taylor's taken on most of that now, but working with Wes and Melissa and the folks downtown, it's a great event, and we usually will fill the theater, and it's just part of something that people enjoy.
Okay, so just to recap, we have several events that are going to be coming up for the Cody High School ski team. And one other thing that we haven't talked about is some of the key races that'll be coming up. And one of them was in January. On January 30th and 31st is your first home race. Is that correct? Up at Red Lodge Mountain?
That's right.
What are some things that would be nice as far as community support and volunteers for that event?
Well, first and foremost, we just want to spread ski racing. So if all you can do is come up and watch, please do so. That's what we just want people to watch, right? I mean, now once we get parents and they're wanting to chip in to help, I will say, or community members, I will say it does take a lot of people to pull one of these races off. Of course, working with Silver Run Ski Team and Mountain Management at Red Lodge, they are all rock stars. But I do really think that our race takes more manpower to pull off than the state race. And we always pride ourselves on having quality gatekeepers to making sure all of the rules are being followed and the courses are being run safely. But we have two different races. So we have slalom on Friday and giant slalom on Saturday. And on Friday with the slalom, it takes quite a few more gatekeepers. And then, of course, all of the people working the start and the finish. And then there's kids needing food and all that good stuff. So we really try to ask the parents if they can pitch in and help. But I realize, sort of an untapped pool of volunteers could be people in the community that just want to come up and see. And if they can get a hold of me, I'll make sure that they get a really great job that's not cold at all.
Yeah, right.
But also wear your ski pants and your boots.
Right.
Right. Well, I think that's fantastic. And I definitely, just knowing the Cody community, I think it's going to be a great refresher reminder for them that you guys are out there racing, competing. You have all these great athletes that are training. And so what an opportunity for all of us to pitch in.
And I will say our little high school ski race is actually a lot like a World Cup event. I mean, it is really,
So cool.
it takes on a lot, and of course there's a lot of moving parts, but the end result is top notch. And we, like Taylor said, we have great help with people on the mountain and with our own parents and our own community that supports it. But it's a pretty classy event, and it is fun to come see it. So
That's neat. Well, we'll be on the lookout, and those events can be found on Cody Journal, both for the Warren Miller film, which will be November 15th, and that'll be at 7 p.m. at the Downtown Cody Theater on Main Street, which is Sheridan Avenue. And then we're also going to have the Ski Swap, which is November 15th from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. And if you're going to be doing gear drop-off, that'll be November 14th from 4 to 6 p.m. and then November 15th from 7 to 8:30 a.m.
we'll have some posters out.
And okay, great. That'll be perfect. And so watch for those around town. And then anything else before we wrap up today?
Just thank you for this opportunity to kind of, let us talk about ski team. And that's why we're coaches, right? Is we love skiing. We love working with kids. And if we can get more kids, we can get community more involved, then we're hitting our goal.
That is true. There's that once in a while we'll hear some kid will say, "Oh, I didn't even know about ski team. I wish I would have known because I either didn't do a sport at all or I was doing something else that I didn't enjoy." And I think we're just, we're lucky to have such a nice variety, but also to have the more word gets out, the better. And we love recruiting kids. So yeah, if this will help, we appreciate it.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much for meeting us today on the Cody Journal podcast. This is Taylor Hensen and Rick Stonehouse of the CHS ski team. And we are just wishing you all the best on your season ahead. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Lindsay.